We all know that feeling. You're in a clutch battle with the enemy heavy, you're confident, you're ready to annihilate the poor bastard, and then boom, you have to reload. You have to reload. Of all the times you would have to reload, it had to be now. Why couldn't you remember to let your weapon reload earlier, back when you had downtime? But it's too late now. The enemy heavies mowed you down like month-old weeds in a garden. But what if I told you there's one weapon in the game that has no reload and gives you ammo equivalent to the damage that you've dealt? What would you do if I said this is arguably one of the better primaries for the engineer in a lot of cases? And what if I also told you it's ripped straight from another game? Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you that. My name is Cody, and I'm here to ask you one question that I've had on my mind for quite some time. How bad could it be? The Widowmaker is one of those weapons that people have confused for what one would call a direct upgrade to stock, even when it's definitely not. Even though this weapon's positives do absolutely outweigh the negatives, it's only in a case where the user knows what they're doing and can accurately land shots and pellets. This weapon is one of the few in the history of the game that has had very few changes, and of the two it's had, one was not even documented. It is absolutely ridiculous just how insane this weapon can be and how useful it is to use when in an offensive situation. The Widowmaker has a reload time of 0, and you get ammo for it back equivalent to the damage that you deal. But there's one major downside that people forget about the weapon when they call it a direct upgrade. Its ammo is your metal supply. This definitely affects you in a huge way because, in case you weren't in the know, this weapon is for the engineer and he thrives off of that metal supply, using it to build his buildings, upgrade those same buildings, and repair those same buildings. So in turn for this weapon having lots of potential and power, you have less metal to build, upgrade, and repair your buildings with. This is only a situation if you're playing an active fire in combat engineer though, as each shot uses up 30 of your oh so precious metal supply, or in other words 15%. Now of course the Widowmaker is identical to the stock shotgun in firing speed and damage with no reload time or animation for that reload. So according to the official TF2 wiki, you're using up 15% of your metal capacity every 0.625 seconds. Now, you have 6 shots in your theoretical clip before you officially run out of metal, but considering that you're building your buildings, you'll likely have less. But you are not permanently out of metal, of course, because you can obviously pick up the ammo packs and get back 40, 100, or 200 of that same metal when you grab the respective ammo pack. In regards to your metal capacity, this weapon has some very unique functions. With all that I just said, if you've never heard of this weapon a day in your life, you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound useful, using all my metal up to shoot my shotgun. Of course there's no reload, I run out of ammo before I get the chance to. And you'd be right if not for this little ditty here. Every point of damage you dish out on a bloody platter comes back to you as metal. This is what makes the Widowmaker so good. If you were using it conservatively and aiming your shots in the right directions on the right targets, you can theoretically never run out of metal, and can theoretically shoot the damn thing forever with no reason to worry about reloads. This makes the weapon very good against larger meatier targets like Demo Soldier and especially the Heavy. This is because you'll hit a lot more of the pellets, thus dealing more and more damage with each landed pellet, thus getting more ammo back. The Widowmaker at its base is generally identical to the shotgun in damage, and for a very long time it stayed that way with only its gimmick to make it stand out. But as of Meet Your Match, it now does an extra 10% damage to the same target your sentry is attacking. This is, in my opinion, just another tacked on gimmick that really has no place being here. It is very useful when you're using mini sentries or on your own holding a point as well as an engineer can on his own. There really isn't much more I can say about this, so on to the strategy and chemistry. So the Gunslinger is the most common sentry type you'll see paired with the Widowmaker because it is the most common combat engineer sentry, because it's the only one. So it would probably be good to accept that it is the most useful strategy to pick up when using this weapon, since the Widowmaker is mostly an offensive engineer shotgun, given that you can really only use it effectively when you're landing shots and in the fight. Otherwise, you're just wasting metal. You will generally place the mini and stick around the mini, maybe even the team. You'll probably be taking out scouts or unattentive soldiers and demo men that try to take the flank. Medics are also a popular pick since they've got very little at their disposal to deal with you. The usage of the Widowmaker on things like payload maps is also useful, but in my experience much harder if you're on defense. In that case, you should be using basic upgradable sentries anyway, but if the conditions are right for it, go for it. On offense, it is definitely much easier, as you should be able to much more effectively get people in the backs or get flanking scouts. Personally, I would not recommend usage of the Widowmaker with the basic sentry if you're more of a turtle engineer or rarely leave the safety of your sentry or team. It can be useful with this type, but only if you're playing semi-aggressively. It is especially useful in this situation if you can manage to pop off good shots and gain metal back if you've got a particularly ammo-hogging team. You should be mindful though that you do have bigger buildings to tend to and maintain. The Widowmaker is a well-known and often used weapon that has lots of good about it and very little that makes it less useful than any other NG primary. No reload, the potential to have an infinite stream of metal, what's not to love? This weapon is on my list of highly recommended weapons that you should use or try at some point in your play career. This is Cody and I'm signing off. I'll see you next time.